Hello and welcome to Ask Mama Amy, a podcast promoting practical advice and resources for strong mothers. I'm your host, Amy Shao, single mom and estate planning attorney and founder of Shao Law. Hi, everybody. I am so excited to have Renée Piane with us today. Renée is the love designer, and she's the award-winning international love designer. So Renée, tell us a little bit about yourself and what is a love designer?
I love design. Well, it's so funny because I was in the beauty and bridal industry back in Delaware in the 80s, and I designed weddings and love nests, and I would do makeovers on people every single day. And all I did was listen to their problems. So when I went out to Los Angeles back in 1988, I was doing image makeovers and got asked to teach a class. And I kept thinking, well, what am I going to call myself? Because I design people's, the way they look on the outside and also plans for them for their home, their love nest. And so I was like thinking, like, what could I be? And so I am a love designer. It's like two things. I help people that are reinventing, that want to enliven their lives, that want to make shifts and changes. And so I look at all the parts of their lives and then design a plan for them in their unique situation. So that's how I kind of describe it. It's like an architect for whatever a person might need.
I love that.
Divorced people, or single moms or whatever, they're reinventing. And believe me, the men are blindsided by it as well. Because I taught classes for 13 years to all the ladies out there that are looking for the prince, or they didn't marry one and they found out a little bit later. Many of the men have not had as much intimate training about relationships and the foundation of relationships, depending on how they were brought up. So I was the very first teacher for single men in America, starting back in 1992. And I realized that the men needed more guidance, but it's still the women that are leading the world. I still think we lead the relationships with our love and our feminine energy. And a lot of women have to take good care of themselves to understand these things so that they can be more patient and guide men with their energy. So I help them to do that as well.
I really love that. And so in my practice, we help a lot of women, a lot of moms, whether they're single moms having gone through divorce or blended family situations. And sometimes we see single moms that are just sad and like thinking there's no good men out there. And so can you tell us, how can moms stay in sync with themselves? And if they're single, then how can they go about and finding love?
Okay, well, it's a process because every person that is dating now, whether you're a single mom, you're in the midst of a breakup, or you have somebody that you're dating that isn't right, you have to look and evaluate where you are right now in your life. And that is what I help people to do. And every person's in a phase, a love phase. So it depends on where you are in the single mom realm, right? You could be just recently divorced, and that's why they call you, because their finances are like jumbled and they're not sure how they're going to protect themselves. But then they have the heart, their heart matters. So if you're newly a single mom, it's that shock. You have to separate, you have to move, and he moves or you move, and then it affects your children. So it's really all about you getting it together in balance, because the children get affected by the divorce just as much as you do as a single mother. And the reason that I know this, and the reason that I'm so close to this, is because I grew up in a family where almost everybody in my family was divorced. So I was around clients that were divorced. I was around my own great aunts, uncles, and there were so many family members that would say, don't you do this to yourself. You better be careful. And so there's a lot of fear-based, energy that goes into that. Oh, your marriage didn't work, and judgment sometimes. So you have to look at your situation. So every single mom or even single person that I work with, I help them to evaluate where they are so that they can see unconsciously that they might be blocking themselves with fear or sadness. So it depends on which level and what phase they're in their single motherhood. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so you take the time at the beginning when somebody calls you to actually just do some soul searching and heart searching instead of putting them back in the dating world. Whereas many dating coaches or many agencies out there, they immediately pull your profile and then just dump it into a pool. And why is
Right. But
that?
if your
Why is it
heart is,
Why is
go
it so
ahead.
important? Can you tell us why is it so important to take that time to understand your heart before you just jump back in?
Based on I don't know if you know this, but I pioneered the first speed dating company in America back in 2002, and I was watching people date right from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and usually in the 35 to 55 range, half were divorced or just like not finding love. So when I actually would ask and do an evaluation in classes that I was teaching, most of them had heartbreaks. They had bad role models. They were from divorced families. They married the wrong person too quickly. So people go, wow, I've never thought about looking into what I was doing all these years. So usually people have a pattern based on how they were raised. So I wrote a book to make people get real. It's called Get Real About Love. The secrets to opening your heart to find true love is really you. And I have this little heart here. You have to take your heart into your own hands because everybody's in a situation. So a lot of single moms go, well, how do you tell whether a guy's ready? Well, how do you know you're ready? How do you know what you're saying about yourself? What people can look you up, or even on your profiles, are they all aligned to a vision that you want to have for yourself as a single mom? And I did not have children, but I married someone that had a child. So I have a lot of experience with dating men that had kids, and a lot of my clients were reversed, whether it's a dad that's single or a mom that's single, the principles are still the same. Do you have time in your schedule? So it's about marketing and branding yourself as a single mom that has time for love, that loves your kids, that has the dad taking them part-time, hopefully, so that you can have space to be in your own zone. Like the mom is one part of your life, and then the feminine part of you that wants love and wants to have a companion again, you're going to have to be able to talk about that so that men think, wow, this woman's really balanced in her life. But when you're first getting divorced, it's very tough.
Mhm.
And sometimes you might push people away unconsciously or not be ready, and that's okay. So everybody's in a different phase. Wouldn't you agree? Like when people call you, Amy, they may have been divorced for a year, or they might be in the shell shock phase
Mhm.
of separation. They
Mhm.
could have been cheated on or lied to. And when that happens, it causes the walls to come up. And then women will wait and wait, and then they doubt that they can find someone. And that is just not true.
Mhm.
And men feel the same way. They're like, they have kids. So there's men that have kids, there's men that are single that wouldn't mind being a stepfather to your kids based on how you speak about it from the very first date. From
So
the
what
very
would you,
first date.
yeah, what would you say are the three biggest mistakes that most singles make while looking for love in this situation?
Number one is that they don't realize that their profile may not have great algorithms to match them with their vision. That's number one. I read hundreds and hundreds and redo profiles. That's one of my main services, is to look at what a person's saying and is it really aligned with their goal. That's number one. Number two, they haven't taken the time to heal from the divorce. And a lot of times, if they're in therapy, they're going back, way back through their childhood and all that. So, not that that's not great. It is, but you want to focus on a vision for the future for yourself based on some of the messages or lessons that you've learned from your marriage. And then number three is rushing. Like people want to rush into it and they're not clear. You have to get clear and be able to speak what you want, to write it out, so that if you do go online, that everything is aligned. So that's one of the reasons that when I met you on a Zoom networking thing with a financial planner, and a lot of the women were like, well, what does that mean? Like the algorithms of you being a single mom with time for love, like
Mhm.
making it more fun, and making it more not like, oh, I have a kid and I don't know if you want kids, but this is what I have to deal with. There's a whole difference in the way that you sell yourself and brand yourself online.
Uh-huh.
And men feel it. And a lot of men really are happy when they meet a single mom if she's got her balance together, if you've got it together.
Yeah, it takes so much. It really is just a switch of perspective, right? And once you're able to make that switch, then the world is entirely different. So
And if you're around negative moms that are like bummed out about dating, and you have road partners that have been hurt or sad, and they take you down, oh, dating sucks. And you have people that aren't positive people. So I know many of the women that I coach are single moms, and I give them a perspective that's a little bit different. And I say, okay, how many friends do you have that believe what you believe? Because sometimes those friends might be too hurt or in a different phase of their divorce or separation, and they could get you set up with a negative picture about what's going to happen depending on their circumstance. So it's sometimes good to get a support group for the people that are in your group, to make sure that you are letting them know that your heart's open to love now, because they're going, oh, well, wait until you get out there. It sucks. You don't want to hear negativity. You want to stay on the positive and find role models that are single moms that say, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Like I had a client who had 2 kids, and her boyfriend that was with her for 4 years said he didn't care about the kids. They got all involved. And then I guess something came up with one of her kids, and he goes, I don't want to go to baseball games. Her son was a jock. So she was going to all the football. He played every sport, this kid, and he still does. And so she ended up going to a game and met a single dad there whose daughter was playing on a softball, believe it or not, softball. And they ended up meeting. And then they were always at the games, always at the games, always at the games. And they ended up getting married. And he had a son, he had a daughter who was a jock, and she had the son. They were right around the same age, and they've been married. They just had their 15th wedding anniversary, but she was not open when she came to me. And I said, you're a beautiful woman. You're a doctor. She was a chiropractor, and also a real estate agent. Really beautiful woman. And they just had their 17th anniversary. It's on Facebook, actually, on my post. I say congratulations. And it really was me that got her to change the way she was thinking. She said, because all of her friends were so negative. And I said, you got to stay away from them. You got to stay
Mhm.
away from people that don't believe in love, or your family. Oh, you better watch out. Like my family, I didn't get married until I was in my 40s because of the divorce in my family and the way that they spoke about it. And it messed me up. So as a mom, watch what you say about your ex. Watch what you're saying, even with your little children that are in the room, when you're arguing or you're going through the separation or the money stress or whatever it is. It's very important for you to watch what you say to your kids, or they may end up in the love business like I did, to change my life and change other people's lives, because I was imprinted that love was going to hurt me. Love was going to hurt me. So I did a TEDx. We should put the TEDx link. So
Uh-huh.
it's called The Power of Your Love Lineage. What you see here as a young girl sometimes will influence you as a mother, and it will also influence your children. So it's very important how
Mhm.
you come across when you're in divorce. It's very painful.
Mhm.
And sometimes you will imprint your children not to believe in love as well. And that could push men away when
Mhm.
they come to date you. And the little boy or girl say, well, daddy left mommy and mommy was sad. The last thing you want is your kids to be sad when you're dating. So, and I know you have a beautiful
Oh.
son, and you've been a single mom yourself. And
Uh-huh.
he's such a joy. Who wouldn't want
Uh-huh.
to love Asher? Who wouldn't want to love that little bubble of love?
Uh-huh.
So it's all the way you present when you're dating. And if you're a joyful mom and you have a positive attitude, it'll change everything. And you have to go out to where there's single people, single places where men are. And so there's so much to share, so much to share.
I love what you said about like just hang around positive people, because we all have, as women, we talk about our relationships with our girlfriends, but there are also girlfriends who are just serial daters. They just go one man after another, and then they're like, there's no good men out there. But actually, maybe it's a fulfilling prophecy. They're just in their own cycle and not truly believing in finding true love. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In their own minds and if they are serial daters and now this is the other mistake, rushing into love. If you've been lonely and sex starved for a while because you went through a divorce and all that, just slow the whole process down. If you meet somebody that you have that heat with, that chemistry as a single mom, some women will say to me, I'm just going to go back and get my mojo back, and I don't care what happens. Sometimes a lot of these single moms are kind of rusty in the dating game, and they'll jump in when a man touches that lonely part of them, and they'll get involved too quickly. So that's the other big mistake, is slowing it down to really catch, see his life before you get involved. Because women will jump in bed with somebody on the third date. They're a single mom, and the guy said, oh, I love kids. And then they didn't check out whether he was really saying that because he was attracted, or if he was saying it because he really meant it, because I'm sure, like, look at you, you're an adorable single mom. And I'm sure that you had men wanting to date you and you're like, well, I have part-time, with my son, or whatever your situation is. So just slow it all down so you can get to know that guy from, really getting to know him. And I have tricks to my trade, to tell people to take time to do a test to see if somebody's really ready to date you, or really committed to dating a single mom, because it's a whole other game.
Right. And so you started out coaching single men, you said. Can you share with us some secrets that you have learned about coaching single men?
Well, men are very sensitive about matters of the heart. And I think that we like to sit and talk. They don't have as much support as women do. We have groups, we get together and we talk about it. Men don't want to let another buddy know that he just didn't score with somebody or it didn't work out. So I became the confidant to thousands of men. And still today, I work, the men that I work with are very, very, when they get hurt, they don't know where to go. Some men will say to me, I wish I had had you when I was in the middle of getting divorced and reinventing, but they usually find me on shows like this, So you as a powerful businesswoman and a mom, you have so much experience, but you have to learn how to ask questions to find out if somebody's aligned with where you are today, and learn how to say things to men that are going to make them feel like, I have the most adorable children and I'm just wanting to meet somebody that loves kids, and if you can see their body language, they kind of, like, even in the classes, I couldn't believe some of the most brilliant men, attorneys, doctors, business owners were in this room with me. And I said, well, where did you learn about relationships? They don't pick up books. They weren't picking up books. So I taught at the Learning Annex in Los Angeles, California for 13 years. And I was the very first coach for men in America. So I just give men a break. You have to give men a break. You have to lead them with your feminine energy, and to ask great questions to see if they are where you are. And that's exactly what most people don't practice their answers before they go on dates. So when someone says to a single mom, so tell me about your situation, right? And the girl's like, oh, the man, they get kind of shocked. That's usually the first question. What happened to your marriage? And, whatever answers you say in the beginning of dating will put either a barrier or an opening for a chance to get to know somebody. You could say, I had a wonderful time with the man I was married, but we grew apart. And now I have these beautiful children, and I'd like to find a partner that loves kids. That's what I want, you know? So you have to proclaim what you want. You have to be comfortable saying it instead of like, do you like kids? If they don't like kids, move on. They like you. They're probably attracted to you and they think, hey, she's a single mom. Maybe she needs to get her mojo back. So it just depends on what phase that you're in as a single mom.
Mhm. So you are happily married and a busy Wonder Woman. So how do you balance it all and keep in
Oh,
sync with your husband?
well, believe me, this is one of the things that I talk about on stage, in life. And even during Corona, I think people realized how out of sync they were with their partners or out of sync they were with themselves because of the pace of our lives. So now I wrote a whole column. If you go onto my website, it should be back up. There's a whole article called How to Stay in Sync with Your Partner. So when people are out of sync, usually there's like an energy between them, like the wall, invisible anger or resentment. And it's usually because of money stress. It's usually because, you may not be taking good care of yourself and you're always taking care of the kids. So you have to really get real about what's going on. And one of the things that I do in my marriage, because my husband's a workaholic and so am I, is that we have rituals where we talk in the morning. We say, what is your schedule? What's going on? And he'll go, you know what? I'm going to be late, on meetings, or I'm going to be traveling for 4 days. So I lead the way and I say, well, on Friday night, you're all mine, baby. And then if things don't work out, sometimes, you know, something emergency will come up for you as a businesswoman, and you're trying to be ready for this super fun plan and it doesn't work out. You have to be able to communicate those things because you get disappointed when you have an expectation. So my husband was working. We've been married now. We've been together almost 19 years, and he was a single dad, and I came into the picture during his second divorce. So I have a lot of experience with dating dads that have kids, right? It's like the opposite for a single woman. So many of you might be single moms, but also you're going to date single dads, right? So you have to find out where they are in their process of divorce or reinventing, and see if they're in sync with where you are. So I said to him, I said, you're in the middle of a shitstorm. It was no fun. His wife did not want him to get divorced, and they were already problems. And then when we were dating, I took it real slow and gave it increments of time to see if I wanted to put myself into his situation. So all of you are going to meet people that are everybody always calls me and they say, I'm in a situation, right? So you need to know your situation as a single mom and then figure out when you meet somebody right away and you say, oh, I saw that you were divorced. How long ago was that? Oh my God, we're right in the middle of it all. And it's tough or whatever, but I miss having a relationship. I love kids. You could date that guy, you could date him and a couple other people so that you don't get in the mix of that situation unless you're really prepared to do that. So I took it in 3-month chunks when I met him because my love stories online. It's pretty cool. I met him when I was 22 at a wedding, and I designed the wedding. It was his cousin's wedding, and I was in the wedding, and he came through the line, and I shook his hand, and I looked up at him, and I said, oh, I'm going to marry that guy. And it was in Delaware. And then I had broken up with my fiance. Thank God I didn't marry him. Many women, the other thing is, when you get divorced, if you got married really young, sometimes you look back at when you were getting married. And I always ask people, when you were walking up the aisle, did you really feel like he was it for you forever? Or were you pressured into getting married, by your family? Or it's been 3 years, you might as well do it, right? I would be doing the hair and makeup for these brides, and I'd say, so why do you love John? Well, we've been together for 5 years, so we figured we would just get married. And I'm like, marriage to me is a sacred bond with someone that's aligned with your vision. And you have to take it step by step, meet your family, look at your lifestyle, your eating habits, your sexual habits. So it's an evaluation that you do while you're dating instead of rushing in. And I always say, don't drop your panties too soon with somebody that you don't know. And I don't mean to be silly, but a lot of people call me and they go, he was the perfect guy on paper. And I thought he was ready and we got involved really quick. And then he just disappeared. And I
Mm.
said, well, when did you sleep with him? And they looked down and they're like, well, it was the second date. And I said, well, he kind of got the goods before you even knew anything about him. So why did you do that? You can be playful and sensual. You don't have to worry, but just don't get too bonded to someone before you know their values. You have to know their virtues and their values before you give your heart away to someone.
Thank you so much, Renee. So if people want to work with you, how can they contact you?
Well, they can call me for a free 20-minute consultation. They can just go to Renee Piane. My name is RENEEPIANE.com/contact. And then I'll get in touch with you just to see where you're at. And some people hire me for a 90-minute consultation so I can do an overview of what you're doing to market and brand yourself as a single mom and help you with that. And then if you feel like I'm the right person, I can take you through the process. If you are on a budget, you can pick up this book on Amazon, Get Real About Love. And I would advise people, if they are going to do a free consultation, they might want to read it because it'll really help me to get where you are right now. And you're going to be able to get real so you can open your heart to find love again. So they can just contact me at Renee Piane. I have a lot of blogs up there. I think there's one up there about dating single moms. I
Mhm.
have lots of free advice there as well, and classes. So the new year is a great time. The holiday time, coming up is Thanksgiving and even Halloween. Halloween is one of the most fun nights for single people to go out and be whatever character you want. And you can use flirting techniques by talking to people about their costumes. When I was a single woman, I always met men when I was out on Halloween. And I know we might miss it. We may miss it, but the holidays are coming up. They can also take my classes, flirting classes, vision classes, and they're very reasonable to help ignite you. Get ignited by people that have extraordinary love. And I do believe my husband and I have, people always say, you guys look so happy. It's because we take our relationship seriously. And when we get out of sync, this heart gets put on a desk. And that's the symbol of us needing to have a heart to heart talk so that we can get back in sync again. So
Mhm.
we have gone through deaths, we've gone through illnesses together, we've gone through accidents, we've gone through every phase of life over all these years, and it just deepens our relationship by having extraordinary communication and respect for each other's businesses and space. And if you're a woman that has a business that overtakes your life and you have kids, you have to make sure that you don't seem too busy. And that was my mistake when I was running the rapid dating around the country. Men that I dated at that time that were single dads or married before said, you don't have any time for love. I can't even get a hold of you. So you have to be careful of the vibes that you send out online. And I would love if any of you are online, I could help you put together something that'll make you seem approachable and available as a single mom, because you deserve to have love as well, and you can find it.
Awesome. I love that. So before we conclude, do you have any final words to encourage the moms in the community?
Well, one of the number one things that moms always say to me, they go, well, I'm home in my sweatpants most of the day, or if they're not working, moms, or they might be at home mom, is to get into the mindset of what it would be like for you to have love now. Like, try to pretend that maybe tomorrow you might meet somebody and dress as if you're gonna go on a date. Like, get your mindset, like, what would I be doing if I knew? So this is your homework, anybody. What would you be doing right now if you knew that you were going to meet the love of your life in the next 30 days? And you should write your own personal list. Women usually say, I'd lose 10 pounds. I might buy some new clothes. I might need new pictures. Those are the things that I'd like you to look at. Do you feel marketable, right? And that's what I would help you with on your free consultation, to see how people view you everywhere. Because guess what? If you meet a guy on Tinder or wherever you're going to meet him, match, after he meets you, he's going to go, he's going to start looking you up. So everything you're doing is being watched by the world. So make sure that you're getting yourself ready for love in advance. And I swear to God, it'll happen. And in the book, it has all the things you can do, rituals to prepare yourself for love in the future. And this is a great time of year. I'm telling you, this time of year between Thanksgiving and the holidays, now that the world is opened up, is opportunities to go to cocktail mixers, to fundraisers, to be out more and more in your community, because your husband or person could be right in your own area. And that would be another key, is try to date people that live close to you, so that it makes it easier for you to get together, especially since you're a single mom. And this is just only a little bit of the information that I could share with you to help you get yourself ready for love. And I don't even know if you know this, Amy, but I wrote a book and it'll be coming out soon. It's called Get Ready for Love, how to get yourself ready for the experience. But you can't get yourself ready if your heart is broken or damaged. So let me help you unbreak your heart and get your faith back in yourself and the way that you present yourself to the world. And I can guarantee you, you will have some success, whether you're a single mom or you're worried about that. You've got to let all that go and have faith in yourself and be able to market and brand yourself in the world of dating, because there's millions and millions of people out there that are looking, and being a single mom is not like, oh God, they're not going to want me because I'm a single mom. That is not true. So don't believe the naysayers. So that's and believe in love for yourself. And I just did my vision board class, and I know Amy had taken it a while back. It really is important for you to have a vision. And I just want you to show you something really quick before we go. This was a vision that I had of the man that I wanted, and my husband looks exactly like him. And this was the picture I had of my home and my dog. All of my visions that I've created have come true. And if you're interested in that, I just had my class. I have it once a month, so I can help you to create your vision. So stay positive. And I'm here to help anybody, because it took me a long time. I had blocks, so I wrote all about it. And I am no different than any other woman. I had my heart broken a few times, and I never got married because of it. And I had to change the way I was thinking, the things I said and the actions back then. And now I have extraordinary love, and I wish that for you as well.
Thank you so much, Renee, for joining us today. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
Hey, God bless you all.
Thank you for joining us today on Ask Mama Amy. Head over to askmamaamy.com for all the show notes and links you heard in today's episode. You'll also get my free legal tool for you to name legal guardians for your children, so that you can leave them with abundant resources to support them and a total peace of mind. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review to tell us why. See you next time, mamas.